And now I'd like to introduce our speaker. Vicki Weaver, Daum Museum Curator of Education, received a BS in Art Education and a BFA from Northwest Missouri State University in Maryville, and an MFA from the University of Arizona Tempe. She has worked at the Daum since 2000, and her position includes oversight of the museum's education program. Weaver was named Museum Art Educator of the Year by the Missouri Arts Educator Association in 2008 and has served on the Missouri Arts Council Advisory Panel for Arts Education. She has completed Level 3 Professional Development Training in Visual Thinking Strategies, VTS, and is a certified VTS lead trainer. Weaver has attended both in-person and online institutes and workshops with emphasis on advanced VTS training, VTS and Studio Art Forum, lead teacher training, VTS and Aesthetic Thinking Workshop, as well as various summer institutes. Weaver is and has been introducing VTS to Daum visitors and educators in Central Missouri since 2009 by leading and co-leading VTS trainings for area elementary through community college level instructors. So with that introduction, I would like to turn it over to Vicki, and thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Alicia. And welcome, everyone, to using visual thinking strategies to improve critical thinking and competency training. Our overall objectives of this session are to introduce, okay, I didn't mean to do that. Overall objectives are to introduce visual thinking strategies, or VTS, discussion method and data behind it, the data behind it, and to practice and reflect on VTS through discussion and reflect on the learning behaviors encouraged by VTS and assess change in students, as well as expand one's own experience and comfort with viewing art. So, what is VTS? Visual Thinking Strategies is a learner-centered teaching method that uses facilitated art discussions to build important 21st century skills: close observation, critical thinking, purposeful listening, effective communication, and respectful debate. And it's grounded in 30 years of research. Let me see here. Visual Thinking Strategies is a result of more than 30 plus years of collaboration between cognitive psychologist Abigail Housen, veteran museum educator Philip Yenowin, and their colleagues. As director of education at the Museum of Modern Art from 1983 to 1993, Yenowin was primarily concerned with making museum education programs more effective. He found that spoon-feeding information to museum visitors left the visitor not really remembering the information, and therefore the visit was perhaps not as meaningful. In the hope of improving this experience, his research introduced him to the work of Abigail Housen in 1988, and you see her image to the left of this slide. Housen was a Harvard-trained educator and psychologist, conducted empirical research exploring how visitors, experienced and novice, think when looking at art objects. The culmination of her many years of study, Housen's theory of aesthetic development, identifies 5 distinct patterns of thinking that correlate to the amount of exposure subjects have had to art, or as Abigail referred to it, eyes on canvas. This research became the core of VTS. VUE, capital VUE, a nonprofit organization, was formed in 1995 between Abigail and Philip. And VUE's mission would be to test and implement VTS throughout the United States and abroad in urban and rural settings, with students who struggle to learn and across languages and cultures. Today, VTS is used in dozens of schools across the country and Europe. research continues to confirm that VTS is an effective means of developing critical thinking and communication skills with every demographic. And there they are. VTS is a school curriculum and teaching method that measurably increases observation skills, evidential reasoning, and speculative abilities, engenders the willingness and ability to find multiple solutions to complex problems, and uses facilitated discussion to enable students to practice respectful, democratic, and collaborative problem-solving skills that over time transfer to other classroom interactions and beyond. The Daum Museum introduced VTS to Central Missouri educators in 2009 by offering a one-day VTS workshop with support from the Arts Education Program of the Missouri Arts Council. This event was the first stage in a project that changed the character of Daum Museum education experiences, including the way that groups encounter art objects during education department tours, and in the way the Daum's annual school program, the Daum Escape, was implemented. The ultimate goal of this introductory workshop was to initiate participants in VTS because of its proven ability to improve classroom instruction and help teachers achieve, help students achieve at higher academic levels. The Daum Escape has been funded by MAC, a professional development grant, since 2011. This grant also supports our partnerships with area schools we partner with, preschools, elementary and secondary schools, as well as State Fair community college campus classes. We are currently partnering with Cole Camp elementary and secondary art teachers. Cole Camp schools have around 730 students, pre-K through 12. And more about this grant, this professional development grant begins the academic year with a VTS training day offered to participating teachers. A VTS curriculum subscription is provided through the grant and enables 10 monthly lessons for VTS classroom discussions of developmentally appropriate images. Participating teachers receive full access to the VTS website, which gives them admission to assessment tools, research articles with cited findings, and helpful forms for student and teacher journaling, as among a lot of other great tools. It's a good website for explaining VTS and good support. In the fall and spring of the school year, I visit participating teacher classrooms to observe their facilitation and debrief with the teachers. And we discuss, any issues they may be having and any anecdotal things that come up from students, which is usually kind of wonderful stories that you get during these discussions. A pre and post student assessment is given at the beginning and end of the school year to evaluate student word use, word listing, examples of evidential reasoning, and other quantifiable outcomes. This grant or project then culminates with a museum visit in the spring of the year. So that, we've been doing that for a while. Let's see, and this is an image of the museum with a group of students and one of our docents VTSing an image. VTS uses eager, thoughtful participation to nurture verbal language skills and writing assignments to assist transfer from oral to written ability. Produces growth in all students, from challenged and English language learners to high achievers. And it underscores connections to art and strengthens the role of museums as a valuable resource in student lives. And here's just a little graph, the cognitive cycle and the social cycle. And during a facilitated conversation, when a student offers an opinion, they're making an argument or stating a hypothesis, which is communication of ideas. And students make inferences based on evidence. The visual evidence is there in front of all of us in the painting or work of art, using new information, which is provided by others, which Philip refers to that as the information surround. For every conversation or situation, we bring our own information, and sharing in a VTS conversation, we learn that, expand our views, and get to deeper looking. Viewers make observations and often reframing and assumptions and hypothesis that happens maybe several times throughout a conversation. And then the looking again by asking the facilitation questions, we keep looking deeper into that and developing the conversation. So, and the social cycle again, developing, communicating ideas, listening, critical evaluation, and then this is all wrapped up in respectful debate, which is a good thing for our kids. So VTS asks 3 deceptively simple questions. First one, what is going on or what is happening in this picture or sculpture? Or, you know, this is transferable to any writing, prose, poetry, and math problems, biology problems, all of those. It's a transferable tool or a method of teaching that has had an impact here at the museum, that's for sure. So what's going on in this picture? It suggests a narrative that students can figure out, and it encourages interpretation, not just listing, which is oftentimes how we all enter an image or a sculpture that perhaps we're not familiar with. We look to see what we can identify with, and we kind of list that as we're thinking about it. And we list the things that that we can, words are gone here for a minute, that we can relate to. That's usually our entry. So that's question 1. What's going on in this piece? And then a student will offer a comment, and then the facilitator replies with, well, what do you see that makes you say that? And so they are, it requires interpretation grounded in the evidence that is in front of them, the visual evidence. It encourages fact-based logical thinking. Oftentimes with the preschool kids, which come in for tours, and schools we've partnered with, you know, they will add their own ideas and associate it to they identify with the painting or the piece, and they will add that, but we can pull that back and try to get them back into the moment. If the child is developmentally ready for that, and it's not such an idiosyncratic place, but if they're there, and that's okay too. So the third question is, what more can we find? And this is kind of the mantra of looking at the piece. We say that from the beginning, when all hands are up and there are lots of ideas floating around. What more can we find becomes a familiar statement that they understand over time and get into the habit of looking at things. And when hands aren't up and it takes a while for looking, you've got that, and they're used to hearing it, and the tape is going through their mind. So what does it do? It encourages thorough looking, stimulates deeper, richer, and more complex discussion. So let's VTS. So Um, here is an image that I guess we have a few people here. I'd like you to take a minute or two, just a little bit of time, and study this image, and then you get to comment on it. And Evelyn, you'll, oh no, not Evelyn, Alicia, you'll take care of that.
Yes, so I just while you're looking and formulating your thoughts, you can either raise your hand or put it in the chat and I'll read it to our presenter so that we can have a little back and forth about that.
Okay.
And can I just clarify too, are you asking us to provide our insights on what is happening in this
Yes,
picture?
I was
Okay.
just going to
Oh,
say,
sorry.
so that's okay. So what's going on in this image? What's going on in this painting that you notice? Or what do you wonder about? Um, what's happening? And yeah, raise your hand, use the chat, and just provide your comments. If you would, that would be great.
Okay. Do you want me just to read them as they're coming in?
Yeah, I just read the source of the fire.
Hmm.
Is that okay? So are you looking over here? And was that Tia? I couldn't see. Okay. So Tia, you're noticing that, noticing back in this area, it looks to you like it might be a fire. And so what do you see that makes you say it might be a fire? Second question. Okay. So, and Evelyn says, what was that question? What was that comment again? From Evelyn.
Oh, it says I noticed that she's pretty calm with lots of turmoil around her.
Okay, okay. So Evelyn, what do you see that makes you say she looks, the image looks pretty calm with all the turmoil? What do you see? What about her makes you say that? It's kind of funny doing this type. Okay. What did Evelyn say, Alicia?
Um, let's see. Did I get? Oh yeah, there's a coming in faster. She is holding a pie and doesn't look rattled.
Okay, okay, okay. So her demeanor then, she's standing there just holding the pie, kind of in a stance and looking pretty calm, not too rattled. Okay, okay,
Okay,
great, thank you.
you want me to read a couple of these others?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Kevin says, I think the image is a representation of hardship as a farmer or just in a rural environment in general. Hardships in terms of natural disasters, but also I think in relationships of those who live in those spaces. And then Geneva said, chaos can come when you least expect it.
Okay.
Um, Lacey said, serving the pie says it to me. She's holding, okay, she's holding a pie and doesn't look rattled. We heard that. The
Okay.
color looks like fire, something the tornado may have caused. There's a lot of
Oh,
interesting stuff here.
okay. Okay, so there have been comments, and this is a little, usually we paraphrase after each comment, but I don't know how we're going to do that. Um, it's since COVID, we've done, actually VTS offers this on Wednesdays, and it's yeah, it's kind of a thing to wait and go back and paraphrase. But some of you have noticed the fire and the chaos that is kind of ensuing in the background, and the calmness of the female figure. I should be using my cursor here. Her calm attitude, just holding the pie, and then there was also a comment about the hardship of the farmer and things that happen, and that is possibly just it's part of the way of life, living on the farm, taking care of all those responsibilities. I can't remember. I missed the last comment. Do we have any other responses?
Yes, here's one. I was wondering why he seems to be taking his suspenders off. His clothes seem on the nicer side, so maybe he's wanting to keep his Sunday clothes nice before he deals with trouble.
Okay. Okay. So you're noticing, and I don't know your name, but you're noticing what the figure's doing over here, and it looks to you like he might be taking off his clothes, and you're saying possibly the reason for that could be he might be in his Sunday clothes. They look nice, he said, and he's about ready to go out and deal with some pretty serious business. So he's wanting to save his clothes then and maybe change into um, some that won't get ruined, I suppose. The Sunday clothes. So thank you for that. What more can we find?
Let's see. Someone said in the Midwest, this is from Geneva, um, in the Midwest, we are used to tornadoes. So there could be that feeling of, oh, it isn't that bad. We've dealt with this before.
Okay, so Geneva, I'm thinking perhaps you're thinking about the woman, and again her demeanor and demeanor, and thinking, oh, it's a tornado. We're used to that, and it's maybe not that big of a deal to her. She's kind of settled into that situation here in the Midwest. Okay, great, thank you. Uh, what what more can we find? Pardon me.
Um, let's see. Geneva also said her sense of calm is the equivalence of getting our cell phones to film the latest Twister. And
Okay, so her sense of calm. So you're kind of relating that sense of calmness to what seems to happen a lot with people's cell phones, and well, what do you see that makes you say, if I could ask, using a cell phone would make you more calm? I'm just, yeah, if you can type that in.
would you like another one while she is typing her response?
Uh-huh.
Okay, Kevin said, I think his actions of taking off his clothes is more a representation of an emotional challenge, a visual representation of the inner turmoil, him asking himself, can I keep doing this? Is it worth all of this effort, or should I move to an urban environment?
Okay. Okay, so Keefen said that? Or it
Mhm.
doesn't, okay. So Keefen, you're thinking that this taking off of this clothes might be symbolic for, oh gosh, he's having to deal with this again, and it's an emotional thing, and can he do this again? Kind of peeling back what's there and asking himself if he can do that. Okay, great. Thank you
And,
for that.
and then Geneva had a response to your earlier question about her, the sense of calm, the equivalence of getting our cell phones out to film the latest Twister. She said, we aren't moved by another Twister.
Okay, so that's making, so you're kind of thinking that with all of the social media, whatever, cell phones everywhere, that sense of urgency or surprise or whatever it might be just is not there. Since we're all very used to it and familiar with seeing so much. Did I get that right? I hope.
Yeah, she responded, hence baking the pie and normalcy.
Normal. Okay. 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 Thank you. Yeah. So you all are doing a great job. What more can we find?
Um, Tia has commented, the candle and the pie sticks out. There's an odd connection. My first glance was the guy looks like he's in a dancing pose.
Okay. Okay. What do you see that makes you say he might be in a dancing pose? Maybe it'll come up.
The arm in the head position is her
Okay,
response.
so the ways by, I mean, that's kind of sometimes that second question is kind of evident, but it's also good sometimes I mean, sometimes a completely different surprise of a response comes up. But yeah, with the arm out and the head up, okay, like he
Oh,
might be dancing. But go ahead,
okay.
Alicia.
Well, she said the arm, the head position, and then she said she is a dancer. And then
Oh,
Geneva, so she would know. And then Geneva said it is a dance with Mother Nature. We don't know which way the twister is going to move.
okay. So relating the dance and what's happening and perhaps linking back to life on the farm with Mother Nature and being just having to deal with all that in everyday, every hour situation of what is happening if you're close in nature and working like that. Okay, okay, great, thank you. What more do we notice?
You can see the movement of, this is from Geneva, you can see the
Uh,
movement of wind in her apron strings. The smoke is going into
okay.
the pie and her hair. And you see the movement of the wind in her hair.
Oh, up here. Okay.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay. So you're looking at the setting and you're introducing movement. You're seeing how the artist has introduced movement into the painting, depicting the wind blowing the flame of the candle, the apron ties, as well as her hair. So now we've introduced that into the movement into the, other than the dance, we had the dance too. So yes, there is movement in this painting. And thank you for that. What more can we find?
I am going to comment that I think the female figures, um, she looks like she's made of marble or something. Just like the color of her skin is unusual to me.
Okay, what do you see unusual? What do you see that makes you say other than well marble, but can you expand on
Well, maybe now that everyone else has commented on all the other movement in the
Mhm.
painting. So, and she's
Uh-huh.
very still, and she looks like she's fairly expressionless and not looking at the viewer, and her skin is sort of not entirely, but sort of monochromatic. Oh, somebody said ghostly or bisque,
Or
like
bisque? Okay, so you're having an appreciation or noticing the contrast between the movement that several viewers have pointed out to us, uh, that's kind of all over the place. And then she is again calm, but you're really catching that from her skin, kind of being this marble color, almost. Would you say, well, that would be leading, and you're not supposed to lead in BTS, but almost like a statue, perhaps.
yes.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, and I
No, no,
just
that's
did.
exactly right. Statue is the right word.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Alicia. What more can we find?
Um, Laura has said the contrast between her stillness and his in motion stance. I mean, she notices that.
Uh-huh. Okay. Again, so another kind of scaffolding on to other comments and linking back to that high contrast of he's ready to go and she's still calm. Okay, great. What more can we find? Or do you wonder about?
Tia says the pigs are possibly moving out of the way, out of the way from the fire.
Okay. Heading in, I would say yes, heading in the opposite direction, away from that. But again, movement, kind of indicating movement. Again, great. What more do we notice?
Um, Geneva says she's an unmovable pillar of strength in her own way, as his muscles and posture
Hmm.
are bulging.
Okay. Okay. So, um, oh, wait, where'd my cursor go? I lose it. So you're seeing, it's a contrast, but uh, it's also they're kind of equal with her stoic. She's like, what did you say? Those words left. My immovable. What is she? Strength, Tower of Strength, something like that. And she's calm and very almost stoic, if you will, and he's just as powerful in his own way, with his muscles showing and he's getting ready to move and go. Okay, great. Thank you. What more?
Laura says they, meaning the animals, don't
Uh-huh.
seem excessively troubled either, with the one turning to look back but not in panic.
Okay. So not that same sense of energy. They're not holding this energy like the figure, the male figure is, just ready to go, but they are moving away. Okay. Okay, great. Um, what more can we find?
Tia says maybe she's the daughter. She looks like she knows dad will handle it.
Okay, so maybe a reason for her calmness, if she is the daughter, this sense of possibly this has happened so many times before that dad will take care of it. So she's not too worried about it. He's keeping her safe, keeping the farm safe. Okay, great. Thank you. What more can we find? I don't know how long we've been going with our conversation. I don't know
Oh,
when we start.
we've been going, we're a little bit shy of 10 minutes. I don't know, you
Okay.
can, if you
Yeah,
want, keep going, because I've got a couple
sure.
more comments in here.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Let's keep
Um,
going. Sure.
Geneva says, and this may have been in response to something earlier, but she said in his forearm, as he pulls his suspender and his back, it is more showy. So yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. Yes, responding to yeah, that was a comment a while back. But yes, the artist has depicted that, showing he's kind of pumped full of energy, it looks like, and ready to go. That is an indicator of that. I would, yeah. Okay. You you say that. Yes. Agree. Okay. Um, was there another comment?
There's one more. Kevin says, following up with what others have noted, I do agree that she is a visual representation of the expectation of mothers or women in general to be the source of stability when times are hard and external challenges threaten a family.
Okay. So kind of linking back and agreeing with some of the comments of mother being the calm one, keeping things stable and always there in that way, for the family, for the children, for the situation. Okay. Okay. Great. Great. Thank you all. Are there more? Because we can keep going.
Yeah, right now there are no more in here.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you all for your comments. Um, yeah, it is different. Not being face to face doing this. Kind of trying to get through this during COVID. The Daum did online discussions, and it was written. It wasn't live, but we had some great exchanges. And the VTS organization, they have started a Wednesday Look Club. It's actually through the New York Times newspaper, and it's a free event. You can sign up, and it's a group discussion like this, and you can see how they have started handling this online distance learning or distance experiencing situation. And it's good to hear. If you're interested about finding out more about VTS in that way, I think I put it in the link, maybe I put it in the link, but it's the VTS Look Cup. That's coming toward the end. But thank you all for your conversation. And let's see, what's the next? Oh, okay. So student behaviors. Did everyone notice a majority of engagement and participation? And you all did a great job of that. Um, and where are we? Okay. Critical and analytical thought, from hearing what others had to say, kind of agreeing and disagreeing, or building new ideas, and introduction of new possibilities, reasoning with evidence, and everyone gave their evidence. And adults are great at that. Sometimes children need a little help with articulating their ideas, and we can pull that out of them, or from them, by asking that second question: what do you see that makes you say that? Then revision of thought. I don't know if any of you had any of that happen, but oftentimes that will happen by the end of the conversation, with new ideas being brought forth. Consideration of divergent viewpoints. And oftentimes that happens. Some good conversation. I've experienced some good conversations happening and people's viewpoints changing over time with VTS. Respectful debate, which is great as far as students. Sometimes I have seen in a classroom, it'll turn into a popularity contest. If someone likes something, then the other one will, which is kind of a kid thing. But you can also kind of break through that and get into some real debate if you just kind of say, okay, we're just talking about what's in front of us. That's what we care about. But it can serve for a good conversation. And anything more? Did anyone notice anything else that we did not cover? Or any questions up to this point? Revise. So Tia, did you have revision? I'm not sure what.
Sorry about that. She did. She had said earlier,
Oh, okay.
I did have a revision in my thought and wasn't going to mention the dance aspect because I felt it was more of a personal reflection.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay, because that's what we want. But it's good. Yeah, I mean, you always kind of wonder. I've seen entire conversations build a big story. The group will build a big story going in one direction, and then a student will wait till the very end, changing the whole dynamic of the situation. And it's exciting to know that they're engaged like that and thinking oh, are they really participating? And they shared that personal idea, that personal thought, and it was a very impactful thing. So yeah. Next are facilitator, teacher behaviors. And so we want to have open, inviting mannerisms, accepting all comments, positively neutral. The hard part is just maintaining a kind of not getting too excited about some answers that just might really excite you, because then perhaps students would think, oh, well, that's the answer that the teacher was looking for. So that's why we remain neutral. We accept all answers. We want everyone to be heard. That's why we paraphrase, making sure that everyone gets heard and everyone has a voice in the conversation. And then pointing to each item. And I tried to do that with the cursor. And when we're doing this in front of a screen, we point, and that keeps students engaged and coming back to the image, and also hopefully keeping participation up. And then paraphrasing. We paraphrase all student responses. Some students that are very enthusiastic will give you like 6 or 8 ideas, and you do not have to it's not a literal thing. As a facilitator, you can just pick the one that you kind of can relate to, or the essence, you can get the essence of the phrase. Or if a student, for example, needs help with their language, you paraphrase, you can elevate that language and give them some vocabulary, or just, you can pick the part that kind of helps you manage that paraphrasing. Because when you're up there pointing, looking, listening, and paraphrasing, the common response of a first time facilitator is you kind of feel like you have split personality, because your brain is really working on a lot of different pistons, if you will. And then neutrally accepting all responses, which we mentioned that. in the beginning. And linking, and we had some linking happen. We had scaffolding, building upon ideas, and then referring back to comments that others had. And so it kind of keeps going. So are there any questions? Anyone have any questions about, I should say that the Daum, I'll wait for questions if we have any.
We did have a question just come in,
Uh-huh.
and that it says, once we have the discussion, do we get any feedback from the faculty as to what the artist was trying to convey? Were we on to anything? Did we miss the intent? Is there a backstory we didn't know that the artist brings?
Are you talking about this image specifically? Or?
I don't, let's see. She didn't mention, maybe she'll put into chat whether she's talking about this particularly or just in general.
In
Yes,
general?
she says yes, and for the curriculum.
So we usually stick to the 3 questions, and that was written in stone in the beginning when I started doing this in 2008. I think 2008 was my first. But since that time, Philip has come up saying that there could be that 4th question, like if you're in the Picasso Museum, and someone says, well, we know Picasso would have done the piece of artwork, and sometimes students want to know who did this piece. So typically, since VTS is a student-centered method of teaching, we give it back to the student and we say, well, how could we find that out? Can we find that out by looking first? Can we find that out by looking? You can ask the student that, and then you can say, can I open it up to the class to see if anyone else can help us here? And of course, everyone has a phone in their hand, and maybe not in the classroom, but in the museum, if questions like that come up, oftentimes students will hop on their phone and they find it. And that's what we try to, to do, not to have when you said faculty, in my mind, being here at the museum, I'm thinking of like a visiting teacher, them giving that answer. And perhaps that's not what you meant. And I'm sorry if I was thinking about that in the wrong way in my mind. But yes, it's student-centered. So long answer here. We give it back to the student, and then if we're going to see that student again, we could say, well, would you like to, why don't you look that up, get your answer, and come back and share that. And that promotes deeper looking and engages them further. And I've experienced a couple of times when that's happened, and it's very exciting for the student when they can come up with that answer. So does that, I hope I answered your question. But yeah, we give it back to the student whenever we can. And what else? Any more? Oh, here it is.
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Okay, so here it is. I had to press that button. So thank you all. And there are further links here. If you're interested at all in learning more about VTS, wanting to come to the Daum and be a part of a professional development training day, or if you have a group of people, a group of teachers, and you want to build your own, we will certainly be happy to do that, work with you. It is a professional development grant, and the Daum Museum website is there, and if you visit it, we have, you can go to VTS, or Daum Escape is our outreach program, and kind of peruse that website. It will tell you a little bit more about it. And then also vtshome.org has lots of information and tools. And if you do end up partnering with someone, you'll get access to the full website with even more information. So thank you all.
Thank you. And we do have a couple questions are still coming if you
Oh,
are
good. Yeah, yeah.
agreeable.
No,
Yeah.
no. I'm just.
Someone asked who was the artist of that painting out of curiosity.
Well, gosh, I could tell you her last name. I'll tell you her last name, okay, because that's all I can remember. Couch. And she does amazing work. Kowch. I think it is. Let me get my phone. I love her work. I turn my phone off. Andrea Couch. How do you spell that, Marcy? Kowch. And she is well worth a look because her work it really is amazing. So yeah, Andrea Couch. Any other? What was her name?
I had a question about just for you about this in terms of the Daum being a physical place where people can actually come and do this in person, but is there any difference between doing it in person versus you looking at an image on a screen? And I was just thinking about also in context of our theme today, which is for rural students, if they don't,
Mm-hmm.
if people don't have access to come to a museum and see something
Mm-hmm.
in person.
Yes, I have. During COVID, I partnered with high school kids here in town at our high school, and the art teacher there. We VTS several times during that COVID time, and we had great conversations. And it was based on the images were based on their lesson plans at the time, so that made it even more interesting. And you know they could relate the image to their own work, pardon me, that they were creating. So yes, there is a way to do that. We did it today, and we can certainly figure it out. But face to face, of course, is exciting. It's just like experiencing an artwork or experiencing a museum. It's always good. And you know there are grants for travel. The Big Yellow Bus grant is a MAC grant that you can write, and this is you know we are partnering with that. But that's a possibility if you do need funding, especially in the rural areas. MAC loves that when the rural people come into play. So yeah, I hope that answered. And yes, we are in the campus of State Fair Community College in Sedalia. And come visit us if you want.
Definitely. And we just have a lot of thank yous and compliments on your presentation.
Oh
So
my
thank
gosh.
you so
Well,
much.
thank you. Thank you also very much for participating.